Hi and welcome to the review video of the 2017 India versus Australia Test Series that has been recently completed. So in this video what we're going to do is do a quick review on the series in connection to the preview video where we gave our prediction, and then go through the top 5 performances with both bat and ball for the 4 test series. So firstly, our prediction, we did think it was going to be a highly competitive series. Australia were in most circles written off as genuine chances to succeed in India, as it is mostly referred to as Mission Impossible for a touring side. But in our preview video, you'll note that we did say that the Aussies would come and really challenge, and challenge they did in the end. So we thought the Aussies would win 1 test, and then with the remaining 3 tests, we thought India would win the series, and there'd also be a draw. So our prediction for the series was India 2-1. And as you would be aware, the outcome of the series was India winning 2 tests to 1. So anyone who got on that prior to the series was paying $5. So congrats to anyone who went with the 2-1. It's a great result for us, and the prediction coming through. What a series we saw. So many twists and turns, not only in every game, but just about every session where momentum would shift one way and the other throughout each and every session. It was amazing cricket. A lot gets talked about with controversies and the like, but the actual cricket that was played was outstanding, and both teams certainly gave it their all, and it was the Indians who came through in the end in the 4th test in Dharamshala, where they took out the series. So to the top 5 performances. So it's been pretty tough going through all the different performances throughout the series and to come up with the top 5 with both ball and bat. So yeah, it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on it. So firstly, we'll start with the ball, and in 5th place, it was a debutant, and in the 4th test, first innings, bowling for the first time in the test arena, Kuldeep Yadav took 4 for 68 off 23 overs and really turned the tide towards the Indians in that final test in Dharamshala, where Australia at one stage were 1 for 144. David Warner passed 50, Steve Smith had passed 50, and things were looking pretty bright, and a 500 plus score was certainly on the cards. Enter Kuldeep Yadav, he gets out Warner, then proceeds to dismiss Hanscom, Maxwell and Cummins, and Australia end up getting bowled up for 300, and that really helped the Indians on course to a 4th test victory. So number 4, this performance didn't result in a victory, but it was outstanding nonetheless. In the 3rd test in Ranchi, Australia had scored 451. India, with their gigantic innings of 603, got themselves a pretty decent lead, and then to push for a victory, enter Ravi Jadeja, who by stumps on the 4th day, with only a handful of overs allowed for the day with time left, he took 2 wickets. He got Warner and Lyon, and then on the final day, the Aussies basically need 150 runs to or just under 150 to make the Indians bat again. They had no chance to win the game, so they batted out. They wanted to bat out for a draw, and they were successful in doing so. So a credit to the Aussies for that. But Ravi Jadeja's figures by the end of the 5th day read as 44 overs, 18 maidens, 4 for 54. And that was one guy who was basically landing the ball right in the spot each and every time, testing the Aussies out, and doing a terrific job at trying to get a victory in unlucky circumstances. So Ravi Jadeja's 4. Number 3, and this was the best bowling figures for the series by any bowler, and it was in the 2nd test, and it was Nathan Lyon in the first innings in Bengaluru, where he took 8 for 50 off 22.2 overs, and basically gave the Aussies a real chance of retaining the Border Gavaskar Trophy in just the second test of the series, and ripping through the Indians. Amazing performance, 8 for 50, and they're the best figures by a non-Indian bowler in India. So fantastic by Lyon. Number 2, this performance was probably the one that really made a massive statement as far as the Aussies and their hopes in India for this series, and it was Steve O'Keefe, and he had 2 such hauls in the same game, but I'm going with his first innings performance where he took 6 for 35 off 13.1 overs, and he absolutely ripped through the Indians, who at about 3 for 90 were looking at a chance to equal the Aussies and perhaps look forward for a lead. But with the 6 for 35, the Indians ended up being bowled out for about 105, and that deficit of close to 170 runs was never got him back into the contest. So 6 for 35, O'Keefe, outstanding, ends up taking 12. And in number 1, the top place is the performance that secured India a one series draw after 2 tests, and that was Ravi Ashwin in the second innings in Bengaluru, where he took 6 for 41 off 12.4 overs, and really, with the Aussies needing to score 189 to win the second test, Ravi Ashwin stepped up and he ripped through the Aussies lineup and basically won them the test, and the Australians will end up being bowled out for 112. It was Ashwin who came in and did the job on the 4th day. So he's the number 1. His performance in Bengaluru is the number 1 performance with the ball. So now to the top 5 with the bat, and in 5th place, not a tremendously high scoring performance, but one with significant impact, and that is Ravi Jadeja's 63 off 95 balls in the first innings in Dharamsala. And his performance batting at number 8 when the innings were around 6 for 215. There was a chance they wouldn't even equal the Aussies 300, but Ravi Jadeja's counter-attacking knock included a number of sixes and gave the Indians not only the ability to equalise with the runs, but get a lead of 32 runs. And that 63 was crucial and really helped them in their quest for victory, because then the Aussies ended up being 3 down by the time they got that 32 runs in the second innings, and India were well on their way to victory. In number 4, and this performance was in the Ranchi Test, and in the first innings, Australia's captain Steve Smith with his 178 not out of 361 balls. At lunch on the first day in Ranchi, Australia were 3 for 107 and a real chance to score less than 300, with the Indians with their tails up and with a chance to rip through the middle order. But Steve Smith, who ended up batting the remainder of the innings, he was ably supported by Glenn Maxwell with his 104, and in the lower order, Steve O'Keefe with his 25. Steve Smith's performance in this test was outstanding, and in this innings, 178 not out, a real statement of intent, which sure showed led the Aussies to 451, and that ended up being a draw in the game. Number 3, and this was the performance that really got the Indians a decent lead in the second test in Bengaluru, and that was Cheteshwar Pujara with his 92 off 221 balls. Difficult pitch to play on. The Indians were bowled for 189 the first innings. Aussies had a nice lead of about 87 runs, and Cheteshwar Pujara, he was supported by Rahul, who made 60, and Rahane made 52. And those two, the partnership of them two, really got the Indians a decent lead and a match-winning lead in the end. And his 92 performance in difficult conditions was exemplary. Number 2 is also Cheteshwar Pujara, and this was the highest scoring innings of the whole 4 tests, and it was in Ranchi, where he scored 202 of 525 balls in an epic marathon innings. The Indians at one stage were 6 for 329 after day 3, and the Aussies scored 451. There was a chance for the Indians to lose, have a deficit, and where the Aussies could have pushed for victory. Him and Riddhiman Saha, who made 117, batted the majority of day 4, and ultimately secured a 152-run lead and a match-winning position. They didn't get the win in the end, but that 202 was an outstanding innings from Pujara. And in the first place, this performance was monumental for the Australians, as far as not only getting them off to the right start in the first test, but showing that these things can be done on the subcontinent in difficult conditions. And it was Steve Smith with his 109 of 202 balls in the second innings in Pune, where he, in conditions where people were saying the pitch was unplayable, Smith, he did have 4 chances that the Indians didn't take, but the fact that he pushed through, determined and driven. I think the second top score was Mitch Marsh's 31. He showed what can be done when you really push yourself. And an amazing innings, 109 off 202 balls. Ended up being his first of 3 centuries in the series, and that gave the Aussies a 450 plus lead, and took them to a dominant victory. So an outstanding performance by Smith, and also Pujara this series. Both of them having two each of the top 5 batting performances. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to put forward your top 5 performances in the comments section. And what a series we've seen. Outstanding cricket. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button, and thank you.